Joining us now is Archbishop Richard Henning. Thank you so much for being with us.
It's good to be here. Thank you, Kevin.
And we are in this beautiful cathedral, and maybe I just wanted some of your thoughts on this cathedral as well. How many times have you visited here, and what is your feeling as this becomes your cathedral as well?
I mean, it's a place of amazing, awesome beauty, and I've not been here too many times before. A few times. I was here for the ordination of Bishop Cristiano. That was a joyful day, and the Cardinal gave me a tour actually in the evening to see the lights illuminated from the inside, which was remarkable. It really is a great gift, I think, to the church here in Boston.
And we've had so many significant events that have taken place in this beautiful cathedral over the years, and maybe if you could talk about this significant event that is taking place as well.
Sure. Yeah, this archdiocese has quite a history, and that's a little overwhelming, I think, actually. But I think truth is, we all in each generation have to be the ones that live that discipleship here and now. So we receive the gift of that legacy, but then there's the call for us now to live it. So I hope that the beauty of this place and all that has happened here will always remind me and all of us of why it's here. Because Jesus Christ is Lord, and He wants to know us and to love us and to give us the gift of His grace.
For those who are tuning in to the installation here today, who might not know you, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe? Give people a little background about your journey?
So, I guess I don't always feel like I'm all that interesting. I don't really have a dramatic story. I'm the oldest of 5 children. My parents, who I love very much, taught me the faith. They're really the first evangelizers of me, and they made sacrifices that I could go to Catholic school, which is a great joy to me. It was there in Catholic grammar school that I first felt the stirrings of a priestly call. I also had the gift of attending a Chaminade high school with the Marinist brothers, and their witness was very impactful on me as a believer. I went from there to St. John's University with the Vincentian priests, had Sisters of St. Joseph in grammar school. So I lived in a Catholic world, sort of urban, suburban parish, a neighborhood where most of the people were Catholic or Jewish. So we knew everybody. It was a great place to grow up. It was a kind of happy childhood. My family also has gone for years to a small island in the Great South Bay. So I grew up in the summer times, sailing and kayaking and fishing and clamming, and so that's kind of my happy place still. I've had wonderful years of priestly life. I taught in the seminary, which was terrific. I was very uplifted by the seminarians and their response to the Lord's call. I had the privilege of doing further studies, which have enriched my life, and I hope others through me. So I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, no, that's great. So, it's a little taste, just a little taste. And you come in, of course, Cardinal Sean O'Malley has been here for many years now. Maybe if you could talk about his vocation here, his ministry here, and about taking over for him.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think his legacy is remarkable. I know that will be true for generations to come. I'm not sure they make him like him anymore. His linguistic ability, his pastoral charity, his pastoral wisdom, he has done remarkable things here. And in a lot of ways, I think it's not so much the skills as the authenticity of the man that guided his flock through really difficult days and helped them to find healing in the Lord. So I stand in awe of that legacy. I have no illusions that I will replace him. I will do my best to follow him.
Yeah.
So.
And speaking of linguistic abilities too, I know you speak Spanish and you're trying to learn more Portuguese as well, but this archdiocese is very diverse archdiocese as well. And maybe if you could talk about that aspect of your new position here as Archbishop of Boston, and how you would lift up the diverse communities that are part of this archdiocese.
Well, I think we lift each other, So I studied Spanish in the seminary, but that was not the same as working with people in the parish. When I went to my first parish, my Spanish language skills were pretty terrible. But the people there, they took the time to teach me. So it was a group of 4 women who took turns tutoring me. So I had tutoring sessions 4 days a week. I would go to prayer meetings. I would show up at whatever, sit in the back of the room and listen. It was a sort of a crash course, being dumped in the deep end of the pool as far as we're learning how to swim. But the thing that really touched my heart was that as I'm trying to learn the language, the language began to open the door to something deeper, because I was finding myself in these meetings and prayer gatherings with people of just bedrock faith, many of whom had experienced terrible difficulties in their lives, who were going through poverty, experiencing the transition from one culture to another. And they just welcomed me into their hearts and shared with me that profound faith. So I think for me, the language, it's not so much me learning to help them as me being drawn into that community and lifted and converted by it. So I think if we're a diverse church, there's a gift there for us to witness to each other and find that richness that God would intend for us. I know that cultures and languages create barriers and tensions, but we can get past those. We're the children of God. And when we do, and when that language barrier falls, it's miraculous. So,
and I know as Bishop of Providence too, you made it a point to get to know the priests of the diocese too. And maybe you could talk about that, and getting to know the Boston priest here as you come in.
So I worked with a priest back in Rockville Center. So I've always felt, I am a priest. I always felt close to priests. I like my brothers, enjoy their company. So when I went to Providence, I certainly made them a kind of priority for me. And to some degree, that's strategic. To my experience, the church happens in the parish. We certainly in the pastoral center do everything we can to sustain parish life. But for most of the people of God, that's where you encounter the Eucharist, the Lord, the sacraments, each other, right? So the priests are critical to that. We cannot be the church without them. I can't be bishop without them. So I knew in Providence that I needed to learn their wisdom. I needed to know their hearts. I knew that all of us together needed always to be renewing ourselves in the call. This is not an easy time to be a priest. The culture has a kind of toxicity to it. And so we have to kind of be ever more faithful to prayer, to spiritual direction, to the call of chastity. So I knew that they were important, and I hope that I communicated that to them. And I would like to do the same here in Boston. So to be a priest of Boston, that's a big challenge. This is a big archdiocese, a lot of complexity, a long history, as you said, but also a painful history. Right. So I really will look forward to being partner to them in the ministry of the Lord.
And that's one of your priorities too. But if you could expand on some of your other priorities too as you come in as the new Archbishop, maybe some things that you'd like to see.
It's a fair question to ask me my priorities, but in a way it's not one I can answer. And the reason I say that is I have a whole lot more learning to do about the Archdiocese of Boston. Yeah. And I don't think it would be wise of me to walk in the door already knowing what the priorities are when I haven't even really learned the place or listened to people. So my first instinct is really to visit, to listen, to see. I want to see those communities on the ground. I want to go into those classrooms and meet the students. And having said that, there are key areas of concern to me that I think are broader than this moment. Certainly the priests are one, right? Another is Catholic education and formation in the faith. I think these are really important realities for this moment of the church's life. I do want to get involved on the college campuses. That's a major part, as I understand it, of life in Boston, and I think there's some amazing things happening there. Post-COVID, there's a kind of revival of faith among young adults, which is quite remarkable. Obviously, I speak Spanish, so I'm going to want to get to know the Hispanic community. I'm trying to learn Portuguese. It's going a little more slowly, I guess because I'm older. So the Brazilian and Islander and mainland Portuguese communities will be of interest. But as you indicated, there are so many more. So I have lots to learn before I decide what the program is. And at the end of the day, I probably shouldn't decide even then. That's something we should do together as a church.
Sure. And you mentioned too, there are some painful parts of the history here in the Archdiocese too, with the clergy sex abuse crisis as well. And maybe some words maybe of encouragement for survivors of abuse, and as we continue to support them.
Well, I think the first thing we should always say and do is how committed we are to protect children in our midst. And so people who suffered these sins in the past, I think that's a major concern for them, that this would not happen to anyone else. Yeah. And so I hope it's encouraging when I say that is a central commitment that I've made in my life over many years. We work hard to make sure that the children that are entrusted to our care are safe and nurtured and treated with the dignity that God has given to them. I certainly feel, along with the whole church, a sense of grief that there were young people that did not have that kind of protection and who suffered as a result of that. I can't take that past away, right? I can walk with people and listen to people and share faith with people and really say to them that their own witness in the life of the church is key. Because those who have suffered the effects of human sin and who yet still themselves practice compassion and live the faith, that's a pretty powerful gift to the wider community. So I certainly want to hear their witness of faith. I think I probably would also like to say to them that I think one of the terrible elements of these sins are that the offenders try to make the child feel complicit, right? That's how this whole grooming idea. So I think we as a church need to say to young people, now adults who've suffered these crimes, these sins, that they are innocent, that it is not their fault, right? I think they know that here, but maybe sometimes not so much here. And I think we have to kind of repeat that they matter to us, they're beloved, all right? That God sees their purity, their goodness, and that healing is possible. Of course, it helps when there's a wider community that wants to participate in that healing. So my hope and prayer is that we will be that in Boston.
That's great. And speaking of the secular world, of course, we're in a major election year here, but any guidance that you could offer to people as we approach the election to sort of get in their minds, how they can proceed as Catholics in an election?
So that's a tricky question. Okay. It's not for me to tell people what to vote for or
Sure.
who to vote for, right? I would say I hope that we exercise our civic duty to vote. I would say that I think that voting also requires prayer. I'm not sure we all think this way, but before we vote, we should be praying. We should be asking the Lord's wisdom and guidance. And I'm not sure we shouldn't say a prayer in the voting booth. This is not a violation of church and state, right? To say to the Lord, I'm about to vote. I need your wisdom. Guide me with your spirit. I think our own openness and docility to the Lord is always a value, particularly in that setting. I think the church's goal is to form people's consciences, and the USCCB, the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops, has significant resources for that purpose. In faithful citizenship, there's resources through the website. There's all kinds of things that people could consult in order to form their consciences as they go into the voting booth. And remembering always that our goal here is the common good. Our goal is the dignity and the beauty of human life. It's not us imposing our faith on the wider society. It is us offering that witness of the importance, really, of civil life, the importance of maintaining a culture of life, a culture where people can make their way in safety and order and security. These are important elements of that civic life. So I hope we engage, but I hope we do so as Catholics. I hope we do it as humble, prayerful people.
And on this day of new beginnings, people are watching from New York and Rhode Island and here in Boston and throughout the country as well. What would you like to say to the people that might be watching at home and seeing this installation taking place?
So I'd like to say a lot of things, but I think I'll take my inspiration from this place. And maybe the best thing I can say is, we adore you, O Christ, and we praise you, because by your holy cross you have redeemed the world. There it is. That's the truth that this place exists for.
And we talked about the priests earlier too, but as the priests of Boston here, many of them here at the cathedral today too, what do you have to say maybe to them personally on this historic day? I know you talked about reaching out to the priests in Providence as well, but maybe just as words to them as they're here to celebrate with you on this special day.
Well, I guess I would say to my brother priests and deacons, I'm happy you're here with me. I look forward to getting to know you. I hope that all of us together will be challenged by the truth of the gospel. If we're going to proclaim it and minister to others, then we have to start, with our own hearts. So that's kind of my own perspective. That conversion, it starts with us. So I would say both thank you and maybe also a little bit of a challenge that in the circumstances we find ourselves, it's time to go deeper, put out into the deep, as it were.
Into the deep, that's right. and maybe for you personally too, on this very special day, a new chapter in the Archdiocese of Boston too. What is on your heart on this special day?
Again, a lot. So, one of the things that has been joyful for me during my time in Rhode Island has been visiting the college campuses. And one of the fascinating things for me, a thing that has really touched my heart among some of the young people, is that they're coming to a deeper sense of faith. They've got the right questions. But I think in our own culture, we tend to think of religion and God as something, God's supposed to help us when we need it. He's supposed to be there when we're in trouble. He's supposed to, console us when we're sad, right? And that's all true. And the gospel is full of examples of Jesus healing and consoling and strengthening. But what I'm experiencing with these young people is they want to be challenged. They don't use this language, but what they really want is they want to know the price of discipleship, because they're living in a cultural setting where to be a disciple of Jesus Christ costs you. So it has to be a decision. And so I think the thing that's in my heart right now at this moment in this great archdiocese is that we disciples of the Lord, we have to remember that other side. Certainly we want to be healed, right? We want to be strengthened by the Lord, but relationships, they require both sides, right? There has to be that response on our part, that willingness to trust the Lord and trust our lives to the Lord, to live in accord with His law of love. And knowing that that's going to be difficult and sometimes painful and even cost us. So I think the young people are teaching me something, and it's certainly on my heart today.
That's great.